Pod Sound School presents Content Jefe, the podcast that helps online business owners make better content and more money. Let's Jefe up. Hello, amigo, amigazo, Content Jefe.
Podcastero!
Welcome to the Content Jefe podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Pod Sound School. We are the Pod Sound School. I'm Veronica.
And I'm Studio Steve.
And in this episode, we're going to be answering one question and one question only, and that is whether DIYing everything in your business and your content, especially audio and video production and your education, may be hurting your business and the performance of your content.
Yeah, and keeping your business from growing and keeping you from really spending time on what really matters to move the needle or to generate more leads or to make more money and to really just make better content.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into it, right? And
let's get into it.
I think we're going to basically break it down into 3 parts. This is going to be really fun.
And I have my notes here.
She's got some notes. So what we're really going to cover is we're going to get into why you should not DIY your education first. And then second, we're going to talk about some DIYing tips for audio production, for video production, because the reality is that many of us first starting off with our business, we just do not have the luxury of being able to afford $400 or $500 a month minimum for having someone edit your podcast episodes. And I say minimum because if you want quality podcast episodes, it's going to cost you $400 or $500 a month.
And you may be wondering, who are these people or why do they know so much about content? Well, we've been doing this for almost 4 years. We started producing podcasts and then we introduced video and we've been producing video and podcasts. We have hundreds of students. We work with clients. So we know a thing or two about content creation.
Yes, and content strategy and workflow and batch recording.
And DIYing and all that.
DIYing. And we have DIY'd. We started having to DIY everything ourselves. I edited every single one of our podcast episodes when we first started off with our original Pod Sound School podcast, which we changed over to the Content Jefe podcast after 100 episodes.
Yeah.
But we're digressing big time.
So that takes us nicely to our first point, which is don't DIY your education.
Yes.
And I think it's important that you were sharing a little bit of our story because you came to the Pod Sound School with already a very impressive set of skills.
Yes, and so did you as well.
It's not like you were DIYing your education. You already went through school. You already learned all the skills.
Yeah.
So by the time you quit your job, your 9 to 5, then you transfer those skills and you started creating our content, editing our videos. And I said, I've never seen somebody more talented than you when it comes to editing audio and video.
She's honking my horn. I need a horn to honk. Maybe honk my nose. For those of you listening to the podcast, she just honked my nose. You can check out the video podcast on Spotify or Apple. Yeah, and to be clear about what we mean by DIYing your education, because being autodidactic is amazing. And yes, you should learn as much as you possibly can. I think what we're saying is be smart about the type of education you spend your time on. And so really you can, don't be afraid to invest. And the reality is you're going to have to invest some cheddar into your education. So what I mean is, if you spend a lot of time going through YouTube and perusing the repeat blogs, because you're going to find 15, 20 blogs.
And let me just put it out there. We are not the only ones who do this. It's really, really hard to pack everything we know, all of our education, our experience, our framework in one YouTube video. You can talk to any coach and they will tell you the same. If you want to learn the skills, if you want to learn the framework, you are going to have to sign up for that online course. You're going to have to sign up for that mastermind. You're going to have to sign up for that coaching program, because then you get the step-by-step. You get the one-on-one. You don't get the generic YouTube video that doesn't apply to, maybe doesn't even apply to your business. Yeah. So that's why it's important to pay for that education.
And you typically get more sound advice, and more specifically when it comes to things like highly technical skills like editing audio or editing video, you need to make sure you're getting that information from a reputable source, because otherwise you can learn bad habits and pick up bad habits that can cost you a lot of time. And if you're having to DIY your podcast editing and DIY your video editing, bad habits could cost you an hour or more every single time on every single episode.
An hour that you can be spending on marketing, an hour that you can be spending talking to clients, signing up new clients.
Yeah, working on your offer, working on your courses, working on your products, working on whatever it is that you're selling and doing to attract more clients, more leads to your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually really exciting because there are so many online courses available and there are so many incredible, talented people teaching online courses. So you're going to need to take a lot of courses, a lot of coaching programs, find apprenticeships, any type of education you could find to expand and to grow your business at a more rapid rate and to save yourself time and efficiency and to increase your sales. And, things like marketing, content strategy, video and audio editing, if you are going to have to do the video and audio editing yourself.
Yeah.
And
time is money.
Time is money.
Also, with that being said, you can delegate those things to a video editor or to an audio editor or to a social media manager if that's going to just free that time for you so you can focus on your business.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you do that, you need to have a basic understanding of how things work so you don't waste time, waste money, and don't know how to give direction or how to instruct your editors to help you build your brand online.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that we knew going into it ourselves, and we were not afraid to seek out online courses like crazy. We're always in an online course.
Yeah.
That's just part of our business strategy.
That is just part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, is that you're going to have to spend a lot of time in education, learning about business.
And to stay up to date with new changes that may be happening on whatever platform you're in. So we've taken courses in Instagram, video production, even though I come from a background of video production, online course creation, email marketing. I mean, you just have to stay up to date. It never ends.
But it's fun. So if you're a nerd and if you like to, go to school, then you're going to be into.
And if you have a partnership, whether you're doing this on your own or as you start to hire help and as you start to build people, build up your team and add team members, you can also pay for your team members to get that education as well too, which is something I know a lot of savvy new online business owners are doing. They have a team, or maybe they're like in the case of Veronica and I, she could take one type of online course and she could become highly specialized in one avenue of our business. And that's actually what she has done. And she's become the marketing expert of our business over the years. And I could get more into video production, more into the audio production area so that our content can look and sound really professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're a team.
We're a team. And that finishes up our first point.
Yes. Hey, I'm interrupting the episode for a little announcement. You know you have to create content to attract more prospects online, but the whole thing seems daunting and too much to figure it out on your own. Which social media platform should I choose? Should I start making videos for IG Reels, TikTok, or YouTube? What skills do I need to learn? What equipment do I need? Or maybe you're considering starting a podcast for your business. And if any of that's the case, we want to invite you to sign up for the waitlist for Smart and Simple Podcasting. It's our first coaching program where we, the Pod Sound School, will be teaching you how to create and launch a professional podcast from scratch. Content marketing, so your content is a lead generation machine for your business, and different ways to maximize every time you record so you can create micro pieces of content that will go on different social media platforms. We'll be holding your hand through the whole process, meeting weekly with you, making sure that you're not getting left behind. We'll be teaching students and clients about podcast and video production and marketing for 4 years. Our approach to teaching is straightforward, innovative, and fun. So hurry up and go to podcastingsmart.com/waitlist to sign up, or find the link in the description of this episode. Stop working so hard on your content. Make your content work for you. Now back to the episode.
So let's just quickly finish this episode up. Hopefully you're enjoying the conversational style. We're trying to really force ourselves to be off script. It's hard for me, I'm finding, to not have control over every point we're saying and allow ourselves to be a little more unscripted. But that's kind of this.
And I think you get very nervous because English is my second language. So sometimes I say my words. I say my words. The way I'm not supposed to.
I get nervous because the camera's rolling and the audio's rolling, and I know the editing portion of it, and I start editing in my head before we're even done with it.
Well, then stop that.
Yeah, or just allow the thing to happen.
So for all of my DIYers out there, just pay attention. Pay attention to how much time one task is taking you. And if the video editing that you learn from YouTube is taking you 2 days, then maybe it's time for you to take an online course and shorten that time that you're spending editing your videos, or if it's the same with audio, to maybe 3 or 4 hours. And that way you can spend the rest of your time doing the tasks that are going to move the needle for your business.
Yeah. And so when it comes to DIYing, let's just lump audio production and video production into number 2, number 3, and to finish this episode. Really, let's talk about the realities of those two things. And I also, again, want to emphasize how important quality is, because when you're trying to gather attention and capture attention from an audience, quality immediately equals authority. Right off the bat. And I believe that that's a big part of the reason we were able to grow as fast as we were, because from the very beginning, we always prioritized quality, even though you do see this controversy between quality and quantity all the time online. People talk about it constantly. People get really precious about it. It has nothing to do with quality. Nobody cares if your audio quality. It does. It matters. It really matters. And it sets you apart. And it also, when you're looking to network with your podcast, for example, or you're looking to make business to business arrangements, or I mean, for any possible reason you could think about, your content needs to be as high of quality as possible. Now, it's progress, it's not perfection. So you have
to start somewhere.
You can start with your phone. You can, and you can start with very affordable USB microphones for your computer. You can start for a few $100s and get going with some really good content, and then build from there.
Yeah. So, and I think it all it comes down to your audience. So how much I want to say fancy, but maybe that's not the correct word. How sophisticated your audience is. If you are creating content because you want to pitch your content to big companies and brands to work with you, or to hire you to make YouTube videos for them, or to make any kind of content for them, if that's your thing, that maybe quality is one of the things that you should take into account. Maybe, upgrading your camera and your lens, your lighting. But if your audience is not as sophisticated, that maybe you can compromise a little bit of quality because they don't care as much about quality. But here we're just, we are fancy and we're bougie.
Yeah, and we've always cared.
Let's just say it.
We
care.
Yeah. And so now that that's out of the way, that disclaimer, it's a big deal. You got to care about quality. So what is the reality of audio editing and video editing if you want to achieve high quality? With the podcast, that means that you will need to spend 3 hours per episode, depending on the length of your podcast episode. And so you hear a lot of people talk about, and editors talk about the ratio, and they'll call it like a 1-to-1 would be, if you spent an hour of raw tape or raw recording, it would take you an hour to edit it. That would be a 1-to-1 ratio. And if you really want quality, especially when you're first starting out, 2-to-1 ratio is about as fast as you could get. I think until I've barely gotten to 1-to-1, and that's with every trick in the book. And I'm actually kind of rusty now because I haven't been doing it. I'm probably back to 2-to-1 again. And so
wouldn't it be like 1-to-2 ratio?
No, it's 2-to. It takes twice the amount of time. So,
okay.
Let's say we record 30 minutes of a raw podcast episode, and we want to trim that.
It will be an hour
up.
and a half.
It would take 30 minutes. Would take a whole hour. So you would have to account for the time it took you to prepare your outline, the time it took you to talk about what your episode's going to be about, to set up the interview, to do all that, and then you would account for the editing time would be double what you put into recording. So that starts to add up pretty quick on a weekly basis if you want to do a weekly podcast. So if you're first starting out and you absolutely can't afford a podcast editor and you don't have that much time, then maybe do a bi-weekly podcast until you could get to go weekly. You could also pre-record. Don't release your podcast until you have 6 to 8 episodes already pre-recorded and pre-edited.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that buys you some time.
And then the other thing you're going to hear around, if you don't have a podcast and if you're interested in launching a podcast and you've been doing your research, you're going to find a lot of people that will tell you that you don't need to edit your podcast. That's a lie.
Yes.
You do need to edit your podcast. You're creating an audio experience for your listener. And the only way to do that is to spend some time in post-production, adding music, adding sound effects, editing your ums and all of those things that editors do to make that final product sound so good and fancy that people don't have to what's going on? Like, why is the dog barking in the background? or like, what is that, a refrigerator sound in the background?
Yeah.
All these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a lot of fancy terms that go into that as well too. And a lot of different techniques that go into professionally editing a podcast. But the cool thing is that information is out there. So that's the other thing to consider, is the time it's going to take you to learn how to edit. And luckily, there are a lot of courses that will make that really fast. We have the best in the industry for Reaper and for podcast editors. It's called Reaper for Podcasters. You can get up and running and lightning fast at editing in a week or a weekend, but then it takes some time to practice after you go through the lessons. And realistically, it's going to be like 3 months of editing, following really good habits before those habits start to kick into play, almost like learning an instrument. Not as intensive learning an instrument. So it's going to take you some time to learn how to edit and get fast at it. And you're going to be like dinosaur slow. Well, I guess there's probably fast dinosaurs too.
Turtle slow.
Turtle slow.
I like turtles. I'm sorry. It was just.
I like turtles.
It was just a joke. We have this in our house, here in our house.
No, I mean, everybody knows the I like turtles kid,
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Got to.
I like turtles.
Hey, that's a nice pirate outfit or whatever he said. I like turtles. Anyway, so there's that.
And this is just the editing portion of making videos. It's not like you're just going to press record and everything that you do is going to be on point. And if you are experienced and you've been doing this for a while, then maybe you can achieve that level of expertise. But otherwise, you're going to have to spend a lot of time planning your content, maybe writing an outline or a script and performing. And then you have to add the editing portion of it, which can be time consuming.
Yeah, very time consuming. I would say, back to that ratio again, instead of a 2-to-1, it's 3-to-1. There's so many more elements. You would also treat the audio, but then you would also treat the video. And if you really want to go that extra mile and get that professional look that you're looking for, that would include color grading or color correction and retouching, skin retouching, if you like to do that stuff as well, and special effects or transitions and text and all those things that go into video editing. But all of that is just not to discourage you at all, because I know when you're first starting out and you look at this monster and this hill that is content creation, it's very accessible and it's very doable and it's very easy. You just really have to get started, and you could start with your phone and then immediately get into a computer. Don't bother editing anything on your phone. There's apps that edit video and apps that edit audio on your phone. That will waste your time. And they haven't improved, at least at the time recording. Or, well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I haven't played with one in forever because there's just not enough real estate for you to take advantage of like quick keys and hotkeys and shortcuts.
Well, it's just like everything you do in your phone. There's limitations.
There's limitations because the size, right? And the technology itself. So get onto a computer, get onto a laptop, and get into a program like Reaper for audio editing, and then get into like Final Cut Pro if you're on a Mac. Adobe has really good products. All the Adobe products are really good. Adobe actually has a subscription called the Creative Cloud that gives you all the Adobe products. So you can have Adobe Audition, which is a little bit of a beast to learn audio editing wise, but it's also a really exceptional and amazing audio editor.
Also, don't waste your time. Go find your favorite creators and see if they have courses that you can take that can save you time, that can make you like really, really, really good at editing video or editing audio. Don't waste your time.
Yes, and you can find more information about all of the courses we offer. We always leave those in the description of our podcast right here. So Check those out for more information. You can also hit us up on Instagram. You'll find Veronica, and I'm over on Twitter at Pod Sound School.
We'd love to hear about you. We'd love to hear about the projects that you have going on. If you're a business owner like we are, we would love to get in touch with you and talk about content creation and all these geeky things that we love.
And until next time,
Jefe up, my amigo.